week 20 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I looked at off the wire this week. The first hitter, J.J. Bleday of the Oakland Athletics. So J.J. Bleday, he's been a hot pickup over the last few weeks, and Bleday, he's been a good find for this Oakland Athletic team after they traded A.J. Puck for him from last season and got Bleday in here. 15 home runs on the year, 45 RBIs, 57 runs scored, a stolen base, a 247 average, and a 329 on base in the last month of the year. 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, a stolen base, 16 runs scored, a 318 average, and a 396 on base. Bleday right now available in tons of fantasy leagues at 78%. And he's going to show some underrated power. He's going to drive in some runs, and he's going to score runs as well. So he's batting in a prime position in this A's lineup, batting third. And believe it or not, this Oakland Athletic team's been playing better of late, especially since the All-Star break. They're putting runs on the board, and J.J. Bleday's been a big part of it. So the last few games, August 11th at Toronto, 3 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs, a run scored. August 13th at the Mets, 1 for 3, 3 runs. August 14th at the Mets, 1 for 3. August 15th at the Mets, 3 for 5, a grand slam, 4 RBIs, a stolen base, 2 runs scored. And August 17th versus the Giants, 0 for 3. So Bleday playing great baseball, batting third, everyday opportunity with this Oakland Athletic team. And he's someone I would definitely go out there and get if I'm fantasy owners, because he's going to show power, he's going to drive in runs, have a decent batting average, and a solid ad this week. The next hit is his teammate Shane Langeliers of the Oakland Athletics. So Langeliers, he's more of a points league ad with his power, low batting average, and strikeout rate. But what a season it's been for him once again in the power department. 22 home runs, matching last season's total, 61 RBIs, 43 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 228 average, and a 295 on base percentage. But the last 2 weeks, he's hitting for big average, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored, a 400 average, and a 538 on base percentage. So this week, a lot of solid catchers on the waiver wire. And catcher over the last few weeks, it's actually turned into solidified position in fantasy baseball. August 13th at the Mets, 4 for 4, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored. August 14th at the Mets, 0 for 3. August 15th at the Mets, 3 for 4 run. August 17th versus the Giants, 0 for 3. Elias, we know he's going to show power. We know he's going to drive in runs. He's been clean up in this lineup for the Oakland Athletics, or 5th for the most part at times. In this A team, they got some boppers in the lineup. Brent Rooker, Langeliers got power. Lawrence Butler, he's shown some pop at times as well. J.J. Bleday. So Langeliers more as a points league ad, because like I said, a high strikeout player, low average for the most part. Even though the last few weeks he's bumped that average up big time. He's an ad this week, available, like I said, in 56% of leagues. The next hitter, Gavin Lux of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mentioned Lux last week as an ad, and he's been playing well for this Dodger team, who's dealt with a bunch of injuries, even though Mookie Betts has been back, but they've moved him back to the outfield to keep Lux's bat in the lineup. And he's playing solid baseball, batting 5th now in the lineup for the Dodgers, a former top prospect. On the year, 8 home runs, 43 RBIs, 42 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 248 average, and a 307 on base percentage. But the last month of the season, he's white hot, 5 home runs, 19 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a stolen base, a whopping 353 average, and a 423 on base. So this Dodger team, believe it or not, their second half of the order has been mid to poor all season long, and Gavin Lux, with his versatility, second in outfield, definitely can help, and he's made the most of his opportunity, where coming into the season, he wasn't playing much at all after last year. He was out with injury, and he's available right now in 64% of fantasy leagues. August 12th at the Brewers, 0 for 4. August 13th at the Brewers, 1 for 5, a homer, 2 RBIs. August 14th at the Brewers, 1 for 2. August 15th at the Brewers, 2 for 3, 2 runs, and RBI. August 16th at the Cardinals, 2 for 4, a homer, and RBI. And August 17th at the Cardinals, 0 for 4. So Lux, he's showing power. He's driving in runs, batting 5th in a great lineup, obviously, with Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, an all-star lineup, no doubt about it. But for him to be a main piece in the lineup and to be out there this late in the season, like I said, great ad this week. The next hitter, Tyler Stevenson, another catcher of the Cincinnati Reds. So Stevenson's been on the radar over the last few weeks, and surprisingly still out there in 53% of fantasy leagues. On the year, 16 home runs, 47 RBIs, 51 runs scored, a stolen base, a 248 average, and a 324 on base. In the last month of the season, solid numbers, 6 home runs, 13 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a 256 average, and a 347 on base percentage. So Stevenson, he was never a batting average hitter, but obviously knowing playing in great American ballpark, a bandbox over there, he's going to show some power numbers. He's going to drive in runs, and already this season he surpassed his home run total of last year. August 12th versus St. Louis, 0 for 4. August 13th versus the Cardinals, 1 for 4 run. August 14th versus the Cardinals, 1 for 5, a homer and RBI. August 16th versus the Royals, 2 for 4 rib. And August 17th versus the Royals, 1 for 3. So Stevenson showing power, batting third, Cincinnati Red lineup. And he's a guy that's going to show power. And like I said, catcher position is in good hands with his 4 catches actually on this list this week to head off the waiver wire. So like I said, catcher coming into the year was a weak position, but the last 3-4 weeks of the season, some players have emerged like Stevenson. Obviously, Shea Langoliers has emerged as well. And now the next player I'm talking about to head off the wire, Austin Wells of the New York Yankees. So this is the 3rd week in a row he's been on the ad list and still available as well as in a decent amount of fantasy leagues at 63% on the season. 9 home runs, 36 RBIs, 32 runs scored, a stolen base at 254 average, and a 346 on base in the last month of the season. One of the better hitters in all the league. 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, 8 runs scored, a 329 average, and a 416 on base. So when you're in a lineup, obviously, with Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, Jazz Chisholm until he went down with injury, you can get a lot of good pitches to hit, and especially batting 5th or cleanup in this Yankee lineup. August 11th versus Texas, 1 for 4. August 12th at the White Sox, 1 for 4. August 13th at the White Sox, 1 for 5. August 14th at the White Sox, 3 for 5, a home and 3 RBIs. And August 17th at the Tigers, 0 for 3. So Austin Wells getting a nice opportunity. Jose Trevino's injury opened it up for Austin Wells. And this Yankee team needed some pop at the catcher position, and he's brought batting average and power. So right now, while Wells is still out there in 63% of fantasy leagues and has a primetime position in one of the more dangerous lineups, the New York Yankees, he's definitely an ad this week. Next hitter, Brendan Rodgers of the Colorado Rockies. So Rodgers, he's been a top prospect for many years for this Colorado Rocky team, but he's never panned out to do anything in the major leagues. But this season's been his best year yet on the year. 10 home runs, 44 RBIs, 52 runs scored, a stolen base, a 279 average, and a 325 on base percentage. But the last month of the season, he's finally got it going, is Rodgers. 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 19 runs scored, a 330 average, and a 376 on base. So Rodgers, second baseman, obviously, for this Rocky team. One of the weakest positions still in fantasy baseball. And he's out there in 80% of fantasy league. Half his home games in Coors Field as well, which is obviously a great hitter's park without altitude. August 12th at Arizona, 1 for 3, a homer, 2 RBIs. August 13th at Arizona, 2 for 4 run. August 14th at Arizona, 1 for 5, a run. August 16th versus the Padres, 1 for 4, a homer, 3 RBIs. And August 17th versus the Padres, 1 for 4. So he's showing power. Batting average, like I said, has been bumped up over the last month of the season, 330 in that time. And maybe it just took Rodgers a couple years to find it. Like I said, he was tearing it up in the minor leagues, one of their top prospects 3-4 years ago. But now he's maybe finally found it, is Rodgers, and he's playing good baseball. And a recommended ad this week, the next hitter, David Hamilton of the Boston Red Sox, qualifies at second and shortstop. And Hamilton had some flash early in the season. And now, over the last couple weeks, he's emerged again on the year. 7 home runs, 26 RBIs, 42 runs scored, 31 stolen bases, a 255 average, and a 309 on base. His specialty, obviously, stealing bases, is David Hamilton. I know stolen bases is up over the last couple of years with the rule changes, bigger bases, pitchers only thrown back to the base twice per at batter. But David Hamilton, 31 stolen bases is nothing, obviously, to downplay. And over the last couple of weeks, he's hitting and getting on base as well. 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 5 stolen bases, a 297 average, and a 366 on base. So Hamilton out there, still in tons of fantasy leagues at 78%. August 13th versus Texas, 1 for 3 run. August 14th versus Texas, 1 for 4 with an RBI. August 15th at Baltimore, 0 for 2. And August 16th at Baltimore, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs, a stolen base, a run scored. To Hamilton, I know he's owned in a little more percentage than Brendan Rodgers, but I still rather have Rodgers over him because more pop and more batting average and RBIs driven in by Hamilton for stolen bases and run scored is definitely a hitter I would try to go out there and get this week. The next hitter, Joey Bart, another catcher of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Was supposed to be the next big catching prospect after Buster Posey retired for the San Francisco Giants, but obviously it didn't pan out. And early in the season, they traded him off to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and now he's finally reaching potential on the year. 11 home runs, 34 RBIs, 26 runs scored, 278 average, and a 353 on base percentage. In the last month of the year, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a 325 average, and a 379 on base. So it happens sometimes where a top prospect and a hyped up prospect has a lot of pressure on him, especially filling the shoes of a guy like Buster Posey. He had many opportunities. It was Joey Bart, and they just couldn't get going. So a change of scenery is what he needed possibly, and obviously it's been working for him now with Pittsburgh this year. August 11th at the Dodgers, 2 for 4. August 12th at the Padres, 0 for 3. August 13th at the Padres, 1 for 4. August 14th at the Padres, 2 for 4. A homer and RBI. And August 17th versus the Mariners, 2 for 4. 2 runs and RBI. So Joey Bart's hitting for average. He's showing power. Primetime spot, batting third or fourth in this lineup for this Pirate team. Now we know all season long needed offense, and that's why they're down there in the wild card standings. They got the pitching, but not the offense, is Pittsburgh. And Joey Bart to pretty much get him for nothing in a deal early in the season and possibly have a franchise catcher now after having a good year. And obviously was a top prospect many seasons over there in San Francisco. Joey Bart is a great ad this week. The next ad, Jonah Bride of the Miami Marlins. So this Marlin team, they gutted the roster at the deadline, trading Josh Bell, trading De La Cruz away, cutting Tim Anderson loose. And now they're going with all the young players, is this Miami Marlin team. And Jonah Bride's getting an opportunity, and he's made the most of it. Available in 88% of fantasy leagues on the year. 5 home runs, 20 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a 263 average, and a 363 on base percentage. I know it's a very small sample size, 95 at-bats, but he's going out there and he's getting the job done. Over the last couple of weeks, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a 286 average, and a 426 on base. Qualifies at first and third base is Jonah Bride, and he's on a Marlin team batting cleanup where he's getting the everyday opportunity. August 13th at Philly, 1 for 2 on RBI. August 14th at Philly, 2 for 4, a homer, 4 RBIs in that one. August 16th at the Mets, 1 for 4 run. And August 17th at the Mets, 0 for 4. So Bride, I know he's on a bad team, but sometimes even players on bad teams are going to get everyday opportunities and help fantasy owners. And right now, while Bride's out there in 88% of fantasy leagues and has good versatility first and third base, he's an ad this week. And the final hit I looked at off the wire is David Peralta, the San Diego Padres. So the veteran Peralta, the last couple of years, he really hasn't done much, but he's emerged for this San Diego Padre team, where early in the season they picked him up off the scrap heap, and now with Fernando Tatis, who's been out for a while, Peralta's been filling in over the last month and change. On the year, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs, 24 runs scored, a stolen base, a 269 average, and a 333 on base. But the last couple weeks, he's been white hot, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 10 runs scored, a 395 average, and a whopping 465 on base percentage. So Peralta, he's definitely found it over the last couple weeks. Still out there is Peralta in 89% of fantasy leagues. But this is what happens with good teams. Players emerge out of nowhere. And this Padre team, the last month of the season, has been one of the best teams in all Major League Baseball. And like I said, Peralta filling in Fernando Tatis. Over the last month, he's found his stroke and he's really getting things going. So right now, deeper leagues, I would give Peralta an ad. Like I said, he's been playing every day, though, pretty much over the last month. But good teams, they get players coming out and hitting good baseball, and that's what Peralta's doing. On August 11th in Miami, 1 for 4, 2 RBIs. August 12th versus the Pirates, 0 for 2. August 13th versus the Pirates, 2 for 3, a homer and RBI. August 14th versus the Pirates, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs. August 16th at the Rockies, 2 for 3 with a run. And August 17th at the Rockies, 0 for 4 with 2 runs. I'm not saying it's going to keep up for Peralta, but this is how the waiver wire works. You add a player, hope he stays hot for the remainder of the season. But if he fizzles out after a couple weeks, what gives you some production, that's what you want. You just rotate players in and out. And exactly that's what Peralta is doing right now, hitting the baseball well and can help fantasy owners. That's a few hitters I looked at off the wire for week 20 of the fantasy baseball season.